From the very, very beginning, the first breaths of the story up until right now, before we came on the air, it has been a story about power. The power of a president to pressure a late night host off the air, to literally run him off the air. The power of a TV network to acquiesce to that president in the face of profound First Amendment concerns. And finally, perhaps most importantly and instructive, the power of us, regular people, not just to recognize and be pissed off about it, about government overreach, about going on TV and taunting the company, and corporate cowardice, something we as Americans feel like is becoming the new normal from law firms and media companies and universities. But to take back our power and our agency and act and have an impact. Disney hasn't said officially just how many of its subscribers canceled in the time period between Kimmel's show being taken off the air, quote, indefinitely. But sources told journalist Marissa Kabas that number could be more than 1.7 million, taking into account Disney, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN. Julia Alexander of Puck suggests that while the variables factoring into the decision to reinstate Kimmel are many, quote, there's little question that an uptick in streaming cancellations, which Kimmel winked at during his first night back, also played a role. Online boycotts like this usually don't amount to much, especially in the long term, but certain moments can gain traction. As one financial analyst told her, Iger undoubtedly wanted to minimize the subscriber exodus just as the company's fourth fiscal quarter ended, end quote. Joining our conversation, the executive editor at Deadline.com, Dominic Patten, is here. Also joining us at the table, Oliver Darcy. He's the author of the newsletter Status, which covers all things media and is must-read these days. Maya is still here. Take me inside your reporting arc on this story.
Yeah, I think Disney made a decision, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, and that set off a huge chain reaction inside Disney. There was a tremendous pressure, I think, immediately to bring Kimmel back on the air, to find a path for him back. And I think, as the journalist you mentioned noted, there was a lot of subscribers deciding to cancel. I mean, you saw anecdotally on social media, you saw Howard Stern come out saying he was unsubscribing from Disney Plus, and these are businesses at the end of the day. So someone like Bob Iger does not want to fuel a subscriber exodus. And I'm sure they were looking at those numbers as well as the public pressure, the PR disaster that they were facing when they were moving to bring him back. And so you saw Disney actually, which I thought was interesting, bring back Kimmel, even though they didn't actually have the stations on board with that at the moment. You know, they brought him back on Tuesday night. It took till Friday for Nexstar and Sinclair to put him on the air. But I think they were facing tremendous pressure, both from the press and also from their own customers who were fleeing them in droves.
I mean, Dominic, we talk a lot about some of the other heavyweights who have largely stayed out of the ring. You mentioned former President Obama and former President Clinton in a lot of these conversations. But I think that this sort of consumer revolt was a quick and relatively low cost. You know, they can't come out and find every one of us or every person that canceled their subscriptions. And it had the same and almost an immediate impact. What do you think of this as a model?
As a model, Nicole, I think it's highly effective. Look, I mean, I grew up in the 1980s during the years of the anti-apartheid boycotts and what have you. Boycotts do matter. We saw some of the boycotts against the likes of Target earlier in the year when they suddenly announced that they were marching in step with the Trumplanders and getting rid of so-called DEI programs and what have you. They work. I think what was here, though, as was mentioned, I believe, in Julia's Puck article and others, I think there was a number of factors here. I do think, as Oliver, and I grant you, Oliver and I buy our suits in the same place, I think that Oliver's mention of Howard Stern, that was a big name to drop this out. I know this because Howard quoted me from your show talking about him doing that. But I think also, too, there was the $4 billion in stock value loss that Disney had. I think there was the tremendous amount of phone calls, emails, and letters that were sent to the Sinclair and Nexstar affiliates all throughout the country that weren't showing Kimmel and said they weren't going to show him when Disney brought him back. I think there were the over 400 big-name celebrities who joined with the ACLU. I think there were things like what we still see, the ongoing looming threat of a potential shareholder lawsuit against Disney if they don't hand over documents to see what really happened behind the scenes during this decision by Bob Iger and Dana Walden. So I think all these factors matter because I think always, to use another line I know you've heard me use too many times, there's a reason they call it show business and not show friends. And if you want to get real action, if you want to get real results, you can go to the ballot box. You can hope that President Obama or Bill Clinton show up to stop the march towards authoritarianism that's happening in this country, or you can vote with your dollars. And you know what? Money talks.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other thing, Oliver, that I think is amazing, is that everyone who is folded to Trump, like chieftains to basically social media deals. That's what they get for their acquiescence. They don't get some legally binding contract hammered out by an elegant attorney. They don't even get anyone from Trump's DOJ. They get like a social media post on his platform. The bet is that the damage to the brand for acquiescing is worth it. And I think what the Kimmel piece shows is that being weak and capitulating is a crappy brand.
Yeah, it's a terrible business strategy. I mean, that's the thing that is perplexing to me when you see a lot of news organizations bend the knee or soften their coverage on Donald Trump. It's not good for their actual bottom line. Look at what happened when Jeff Bezos blocked the Kamala Harris endorsement. They saw a subscriber exodus. Patrick Soon-Shiong, when he got involved with the Los Angeles Times and pushed in a more Trump direction, they saw subscribers flee. You've seen this continually, and obviously with Kimmel and Disney Plus. I mean, you've seen this over and over again. If these business executives, if these billionaire owners actually care about these businesses that they oversee, they shouldn't be bowing to Donald Trump. It's not good for their core bottom line. Their customers don't like that. But I think that just maybe thinking about other things outside their news portfolio when they make these decisions, and that's what's actually driving them.
Like mergers and that kind of thing?
Exactly. Much bigger deals that they want to get done. And also, you know, you think about someone like Jeff Bezos in the Washington Post. He's got Blue Origin. He's got Amazon.
Oh, his rockets for his wife went on. That's his big thing.
Right.
Rockets.
Yes, rockets.
Forget about the First Amendment. Democracy can die in broad daylight, but we're going to send up our rockets.
That's his pet baby these days, is Blue Origin. So maybe he's okay with the Washington Post taking a little bit of a hit from subscribers. I think that there's a much bigger context these decisions are made in, but still at the end of the day, they want these businesses to succeed. And so when you see Disney Plus get, you know, maybe over 1 million cancellations, maybe more, and it's growing, they have to act.